invite my esteemed panelists here. I would start with Dr. Shweta Darba, Digital Transformation and FinTech Leader. Please give her a round of applause. Dr. Shweta has over 2 decades of experience. Please join me on the stage. 2 decades of the experience in leader in technology, consulting, and product. She comes from the financial services sector where she has worked on AI-based customer onboarding, CRM, and network management. Welcome, Dr. Shweta, for this panel here. Please have a seat. Then I want to call, I don't know whether I should introduce him because you are seeing him since morning, Mr. Bala Prasad Pedagiri. Apart from doing the excellent work, Bala, please join us. Apart from doing excellent work at the FTCCI, Bala is also working with the TCS for last 26 years, being a principal consultant and chief innovation officer in technology. Please give him a round of applause. Thank you, Bala. Then I'm going to call Mr. Rama Iyer. Mr. Rama Iyer, please, I think he's having another panel somewhere in the back. I'm sure he will bring a lot of experience. Thank you, Rama, for joining us, please. And then, after all this and nothing, with an esteemed panel being here, I still believe the next member is the most eligible person to talk about the data, AI, and privacy. So with this, I want to invite Professor Vinit Balasubramaniam, who is the professor at Computer Science and AI at IIT Hyderabad. Apart from being a professor, he's also principal researcher at Microsoft, and he's founding head of the Department of AI at IIT Hyderabad. Please give him a round of applause. I'm sure he will bring a lot of good perspective about this. Now, while I have introduced you all, now as a moderator, my job is over. Now I'm going to ask you the questions, and let's see if we have.
Our FTCCI Secretary, Ms. Veena, please be on the stage. We will felicitate a couple of guests with a welcome plant.
Manish for this. I want to start with Bala and directly getting into the topic. With your vast experience in the services industry, I want you to give us more an example about how services industry today are bringing the efficiency, and not just an efficiency, we talked about the efficiency very different way, but how are they bringing the differentiation factor with the use of AI and data?
Excellent. I think efficiency is one of the integral part of our story all the time when we try to deliver services to our customers. I just want to take 2 examples here. One story is related to passports. How many of you carry passports here? Passports, a decade or 2 decades ago, how much time it used to take for you to get your passport? 90 days? 180 days? How much time now it takes for you?
Yeah, that's
less than a week? 3 days? Sometimes in a day also, 24 hours also? That's what the efficiency is all about. Solid example I wanted to draw your attention. When TCS took over the Passport Seva project, it was all about collaboration, coordination, and improving the overall processing efficiency. Right from the application processing stage to the background checking, passport printing, all these things can be done very, very easily if 3 or 4 departments in the Home Ministry will be able to communicate and collaborate. When we were able to get that consensus to exchange of information, that entire Passport Seva program was much simplified, and that's what you're trying to see. The goal, what we carry today is, we wanted to ensure that the passport comes to you when you're walking out of the office. So you walk in with your application, you walk out with your passport. Can't I print passport online and give you immediately? So there is no logistics involved. That's a kind of a target what we carry, and there's a team which is working in that particular direction. Probably with the blessings and kind of a support from the Government of India and other departments, we'll be able to get there. That's one. Second important example story which I wanted to touch upon is, I don't know how many of you visited Delhi or visited AIIMS, All India Institute of Medical Sciences. If you have visited that, or you can Google around that and see the outpatient flow management. This is one of the examples I proudly say that we really transformed and improved the overall efficiency. People used to umpteen number of hours spending time sitting outside to get the slot with the doctor, not knowing when the time will come for them to visit the doctor. we had a challenge, and we need to entirely streamline that entire process. And you can see that YouTube videos also we published, AIMS Outpatient Care. It has truly transformed with the right level of efficiency by applying technology levers to it. It's one of the proud digital transformation program what we led. Now, the outpatient flow management, what happens there, it not only gives you the automated token system, but also tells you what time, predictable time window, when you will be getting a slot with the doctor, when you're going to get the slot with the diagnostics, when are you getting the slot to receive your reports, so that you have an opportunity to go and do something else and come back at your slot. That slotting system and the predictability, all possible through the AI, data analytics, and many more technologies integrated into it, which is really simplified. We have also embedded chatbots which can communicate with the patients to understand the current state. We have also embedded AI in radiology to understand and analyze the reports and give a very meaningful analysis from the citizen-centric standpoint what that report is trying to talk about, so that they understand what doctor is communicating. Sometimes doctor communicates, they don't understand. They need to understand with their own language. The translation also made possible through that. These are some of the two examples I want to state, which gives you that direction of thought.
Perfect. I think, Bala, what I liked about is that what two examples you gave is directly touching, one, the masses, the volume, and to the health of the individual, which is fantastic. Now, coming back from the masses, government, I want to pick up a brain of Dr. Shweta, US. You being in the fintech or financial services sector for long, and you have been an experienced leader there. We all know that financial services sector is an early adopter of technology. However, it is also most regulated sector also. There's a dichotomy. You need a data for AI to work well. You need a data to ensure that you service your customers well. Do you see that we given a lot many data in financial services sector, a privacy somewhat is a back or pushback when you are servicing the more efficiently to your customers?
The answer I would give to this is that, the privacy of the customer's data in a financial, so I would say for a financial services sector, the privacy of customers' data is like in the DNA of the services sector. And not only the regulatory bodies, but even the financial sector is very much aware that the more secure you keep customers' data, the customer not only would be, have trust on you, but it also keeps the financial institution itself safe. And if we look at AI, you very well said that you need large amount of data to process, but then you also have to take into the consideration that the customer's consent becomes now more imperative, and that gives the customer a right to privacy. So far, I would say 5 years back, whenever the customer's data was being collected, it was the fine print of the documents which would speak about, what we would be doing with data. But in the last couple of years, the whole consent is needs to be presented to the customer in the way they understand. We'll be collecting your data. We would be reaching out through, say, a WhatsApp or through social media or anything. And now the next step would be is to let the customer know that your data will be used to train our models. Because when the customer gives you that consent, then it's a way of saying my private data you can use, right? The second part is anonymity of the data. Do your models really require something that will identify the customer? Because a large part of financial services, AI and ML algorithms are trying to identify cohorts, not really identify an individual.
Correct.
So anonymization of the data from the source, which needs to know each individual, into the data lake, right? That's very important. And a lot of financial services are ensuring that the data, when it moves to the data lake, it's not as is, right? It's codified in some or the other way. And the last part of it is that given that none of the models can operate in the data centers, you will have to leverage cloud computing, and that brings to the requirement of very solid data governance, cloud policies of these institutions, and then looking at a very different area, which is now true for most of the technologies, but will have to be built into AI/ML space, is the audit of the models itself. Right? So these 3-4 things, if we put it in a structure, then it ensures the customer has the right to data, the organization gets what it requires out of those data, and a policy around the fact that technology will evolve. You can't remain in the closed environments of your data center. And that kind of gives you ensuring the security, governance, and the right to privacy of the data.
Very well said, Dr. Shweta. And I think
Thank you.
I 100% agree with you. And having seen the LLM models going up, earlier the models were unknowingly were giving the more data for a particular query. Now the models also have matured to not disclose the information. That's very well said. And what you said, and this is where globally what's happening is that most of the AI champions are saying that the government should put regulations more in a risk-based regulation in the AI space rather than the prescriptive, which is today's the concept. So that's one thing is happening, and I think FS sector or financial service sector is the leader in that space. Thank you so much. Now from the financial service sector, let me come to the aviation sector or the GMA group. Rama, you have been the head of innovation. I want to ask you one question first, and then is that what does it entail to be the head of innovation for such a different sector group or conglomerate altogether? And how are you using the AI in not one particular sector, but at the overall group level? And some of the examples if you can share with us.
So firstly, I think before I answer, I think kudos to the organizing team for putting such a wonderful event together. I think FTCCI GrowthX, a lot of thought leaders, not only from the city, but from the country have assembled here. So I think kudos and congratulations to Mohanji, to Pankaj, Manish, and Sayantan for anchoring this entire thing. So congratulations, guys. It's a lot of hard work, but thanks for doing this, and hopefully this is an annual event where we all get to meet each other. So I thought I'll just first mention that. Coming to your question, I think heading innovation for a conglomerate like GMR is obviously a first of experience for me. I've mostly been on multinationals, tech, people who understand tech or build tech. Now this is a consumer of tech company, and that too brick and mortar, construction, heavy infra. For them, digitization is a work in progress, right? That's where they are. But I think our group chairman has been very passionate in terms of how do we push the boundary of innovation? What can we do? So for me, it was a very different challenge, but I was very gung-ho about the promoter really pushing and giving me a free hand in dabbling around things. It took us a little bit of a time, but I think today I'm very happy to share that in 3-4 years' time, we not only have a vibrant ecosystem of innovation where we work with 250 plus startups, we have our own CAT2 SEBI fund through which we invest into startups, we co-create IPs. There are half a dozen AI projects that is happening, including building AI platforms. So all the way from YOLO model, convolution neural network, right up to Gen AI, filing patent for our own models, and creating our own data set. I think we have touched upon all the various key aspects, and we do some of the things which one would expect of a tech company to do. So for me, heading innovation was a good challenge, and the canvas that it provides is just enormous. On the terminal side, it starts from like fintech, payment, retail, loyalty on one side, goes up to all the way from IoT, like drone, eVTOL, vertiports, EV, sustainability, autonomous on the other side. So all of them is fair game, and AI is nicely placed in terms of being the horizontal today.
So is AI common across all this?
Yes, it definitely is. Lot of the various departments are at different levels of maturity, and it depends on the business leader and the business CEOs of how much he really wants to push the boundary on AI. We obviously are the enablement entity, and we bring in a lot of young startups, startup like Rava, for example, whom my friend runs. And the company is very open today because we have, like, removed the shackle and the thinking that it is not only just the big guys and the SIs that you can work with, but you can also work with nimble startups. So today we have proven that model, and we are moving extremely fast at that in terms of what can be done.
Sure. And I at one point where I will add, Rama, very well said. See, you are working with 250 plus startups. There are so many AI or data related startups in India. This is all because I believe the skills are available. People are aware of that, and that's where the next question goes to Vinit, to you, is that, see how academic is gearing up for these new age skills. I learned AI through my companies or my personal learning, but how is AI is gearing up to give, or academics is gearing up to give the new skills like data scientist, AI ML champion? That's one question. And second, a pseudo question which I have is that now academics are giving, and I'm sure you will give more insights to this, but I've seen some of the colleges are offering, and this is for all of us, they're saying that mechanical engineering with specialization in AI ML. Now, is that real, or is that just to attract a student? I want your honest opinion on this.
So thank you again for having me in this panel, and I want to echo Rama's thoughts that I think it's a very, very nice event, and grateful to all the organizers for organizing this and having me as part of the panel too. Yeah, this is obviously a very interesting question, a difficult one too. At the outset, yeah, I think the job of academic institutions is to absorb the latest and greatest and put it into the academic curriculum. I think that's what universities are for. So I think it only makes sense that universities offer programs in AI/ML in whatever form or scale. So I'm not sure, maybe I should mention this here. I'm not sure how many of you know, but IIT Hyderabad actually launched the first bachelor's in AI in the country. I'm not sure if you know about it. Yeah, so I was fortunate to head it as the first for 3 years in its first inception. And I think maybe I should also mention that I think the credit for that goes to Professor UB Desai. I know he's among the steering committee for the FTCCI, and I think I should mention it was his vision to do that as one of the first programs in the country itself. So in that sense, I have had first-hand experience with creating a curriculum for AI for the country, and we did this in 2019 when I explicitly know there were institutions that spoke to us and said, how does it make sense to have AI for undergrad, right? So, I mean, I've explicitly been in conversations where I've been asked this question. So it was a difficult phase at that point in time, but then now there are programs all around the country. And to your second part as to does it make sense to combine with mechanical and so on? Absolutely, yes.
So just an example.
Sure, yeah, very much. Absolutely, yes, I think from two perspectives. In a sense, AI is the new wave of automation. It's the new programming skill, right? 20 years ago, everybody had to be equipped with programming, and I think over the period of the last couple of decades, even a chemist needed to start programming. I mean, because of the nature of how work changed. I think in that sense, it needs to be absorbed. I also think there's the complementary view to that institutions need to survive and thrive too, so they need to find a way to attract. And alternate engineering disciplines are finding it very hard to attract students these days. Maybe I just wanted to add a couple of challenges with all of this, right? So maybe one challenge that I've actually seen, which I don't think has been figured out, not just in India, even around the world maybe, is the way you need to convey AI to different populations is very, very different, right? As an institution, we receive requests for maybe offering an AI module to high-level executives, maybe to entry-level executives, and maybe just students across different institutions in the country. And I've again received feedback like, okay, we went and sat in that course taught by a certain institution, and all that person said is wrote a few equations and went away. Right? So that doesn't really matter to a lot of people who are using AI in the real world. So how you do that for different segments, I think is still evolving. I don't think, I mean, at IIT Hyderabad, we ourselves offer programs. I think that in a country like India, I also think a broader question is not what is being offered, but how it is being offered. And I think this is a place where India significantly lags behind. Right? I think even...
How is it being offered?
Yeah, even institutions that offer AI if you go see the curriculum, it'll have all the buzzwords. But then if you go sit in the courses, how it's delivered, how it's evaluated is actually what defines how a student learns. Okay. Right? So the how part of it becomes very, very important. And one final thought is, I think as everyone talks about a gig economy and things like that, I think the notion of a gig educational system also becomes important to talk about. Right? So I think in a sense, everybody is learning AI today through a gig education system. They do it on the side, right? Along with whatever they all do. So how do you formalize this sense of gig education? I feel is an important thing for us to.
Sure. I think that's perfect. What I can take, Professor Vinith, from you is that the AI is different. AI for my boss, AI for my subordinates, AI for the junior staff is very different, and how they are delivered is very well said. And you talked about the skills, and that's where I want to go back to the Bala. Bala, have you seen? And this is a very obvious question, but I want an expert view or professional view. The skill requirements, have they changed in last couple of years or post-COVID? Saying that we need people who are working from home to working from in office, or that's a joke part. But have the skills changed in last 3-4 years? And do you think the skills will be different in next 5 years coming? And how your organization is gearing up for that?
Both are right. I would say that skills are changed, and skills, what we need in the future will also be different. If you particularly look from our theme of AI, data and privacy, today what we are trying to propagate is whatever you're trying to adopt as part of the AI, it should be for the business, AI for business, where you try to focus on AI for business-centric functions like supply chain, AI for customer service, AI for service desk operations, contact center, likewise. The other segment is AI for IT. How do you utilize the right tools of AI, just like Copilot or code assistants, what you see, how they can be utilized to improve the productivity of the development team, test team, across the life cycle, software development life cycle. The skill is not about programming, skill about using the right tools to drive the productivity. The third segment, what we're trying to also focus is AI for infra. Basically how infrastructure provisioning, infrastructure maintenance, monitoring, end-to-end monitoring, traceability, all these things also can be leveraged from the AI. Today, if some situation happens in the production, say for an instance, what Rama designed a system of airport productive operation center, a digital twin is really replicating the information. They will have an opportunity to spot immediately where the things are going wrong. So the power of traceability will really help you to accelerate your solution, accelerate your response. And AI can come as an aid. These are some of the skills which are getting utilized. But from the data segment, if you're trying to look at, we are focusing on the forward-looking technology skills on the AI, binding with the data, especially in the data vault. You see, today, business undergoes a lot of agility changes. Every time business changes, you cannot go and change the schema all the time. Today, some of the systems which are designed is expected to change the schema. One of the technology which is advocating the thought is, even though business changes, your schema does not change its data vault. How do you create the new age data schemas powered by the data vault with the link and satellite tables, which really help in building such relationships? So such kind of skills are getting embraced. Data lakehouse architectures are getting embraced. The third important area is privacy as part of the core theme. The privacy preserving techniques are very, very critical and important. We are also educating not privacy and isolation, but privacy is integrated as part of our DevOps, PrivSec DevOps, what we call. And we are ensuring that that is taken care and people understand the role of the privacy in each and every stage of the life cycle. Having said that, one of the skill or the holistic representation of this technology is you need to be responsible in developing the solutions.
Perfect.
The thing what we've seen in the video, I really admired that video because the 1 minute, 17 seconds video what you have ran, creating the future for ensuring that your kids' future is safe and responsible. So we need to be responsible. So our holistic framework is not only developing the skills, but being more responsible. That binds up the things.
Fantastic. And what you said for the AI for infra, AI for IT, and from the business mind perspective, that is a direct impact on your balance sheet, the revenue, because that's where the efficiency comes in. And before I come to you, Dr. Shweta, one thing which I personally am advocating, that privacy is not only a technology subject. In India, privacy is a cultural subject. See, I'll give you a simple example in 30 seconds. Let's say an European citizen is having a blood test in his hand. He will keep the blood test report close to his chest. Whereas a blood test report in Indian citizen, he will take to his friends, बोलेगा यार देखना कुछ हो गया है. So we are here to gain the sympathy. We are not tuned for that kind of privacy, and hence why I say that it's a culture more and a tech later. That's my personal view. But let me come back to the Dr. Shweta here, is that everybody talks good about AI. Everybody says that we did this thing, but I somewhere believe that unless and until you have a matured process, structured data, quality data, the AI projects do not fly or do not give the right returns. As I said, in a bad word, garbage in, garbage out, that's what they said. In your long career and looking at various organizations, have you come across where an AI project did not achieve the required results, and how, because of whatever the underlying factors, and how did you course correct it to meet that objective?
Results. What did it give the right results? Now that basically means what the AI algorithm or the machine learning process, was it effective? And I think that's the biggest challenge that we have today. Most of the organizations in the last couple of years have started into this journey, and while we can always talk about the bad data, but you have to start somewhere. So you start with the data you have, you clean it up, you define your models, and you start working with that. But how effective, what is the efficacy of the algorithm? That is a challenge, because let's look at financial services. A large part of that is being used for credit underwriting or any other credit products. Whether your algorithm was effective on giving the right loan to the right people, it's a customer journey. The loans are long-term loans, and especially asset-based loans, right? Whether that customer turned, whether the debt became a bad debt, or whether the customer got loans from other institutions, was he not given other institutions, did not underwrite it, that requires a feedback loop, and that requires time given to the data scientists to figure over a period of time. Most of the organizations do not have that time, or are not ready to look at how effective that model and give a couple of years to correct the model. You have to do it right now, which doesn't really work. To give you an example, one of the things that I have in my personal experience observed is the next best action, especially on the marketing side. When you are giving pre-approved kind of offers to the customers. In financial services, especially in India, taking a credit card to a loan to any other activity, to your example, it's not a data-driven thing. It's a decision of a family, right? While you have the data of the customer, and the decision is of 6 other people whose data you don't even have in your model, right? And hence you can give as many next best action, next best offers. The denominator is so huge, and the numerator of your actual click-through ratio is so small. It actually...
Fantastic example.
Right? It goes into 0.00 some percentage, right? And then how do you know your models are effective or not, right? So that's an example that, immediately comes to my mind, and it has always, even when I was living through that process, always used to make me feel that we are not sure how effective these models are. We cannot call them results not oriented, but you have to, other than doing your A/B testing, or trying to say this set of people we did not target, would they behave differently? But the time required to say the same customer.
Okay, thank you so much. Rama, I want to, you said that you worked with 250 startups, you have come up with many innovation, AI-based innovation. For this audience, considering their profile, you want to share some examples, 1 or 2 very short, I know we are running out of time.
Sure. I wanted to answer on the skill and AI thing.
Okay.
So I'll go with that first, and then I'll answer yours. So I think we are in a very, very interesting and very nebulous phase of where AI is, right? So your question ka answer will change almost on a monthly basis, if not weekly, in terms of the skill that is required, right? I think for people who are following it closely, I mean, Claude released the 3.7 release of theirs and the code thing. So today, creating code and deep reasoning and auto debugging, auto compiling, and then submission into GitHub is is a done deal. And you top it up with agents and agentic AI, you can literally create platform on the fly, and then you just need a smaller team to go figure market, go make a sell of what you want to create, where the market is, right? So I think there is drastic change that's going to happen. The whole Indian IT industry is going to be challenged like no other day, what we have built over the last 30 years. I think there is a lot of question on what type of people and skill we require. The countries and people that will progress are who will adapt faster, who will also learn how do you work around this AI, what has become commoditized, and to ensure that we kind of react faster, which I think Indians are decently accustomed
We
to
are
have done in
adaptive.
the past.
Yes, we are adaptive.
So I think we should be okay, but I think things are just changing super fast. So it's both opportunity as well as threat bundled in one. Let me see if I remember your question. Like for startups here.
Yeah, one example, and I'm sorry,
sure.
very short.
So I think anything you're doing, mostly there should be some interest and intersection with us. So if you're a startup, please check in with me or my team. We'll be happy to see where you figure fit.
Sure. Thank you, Raman. Thank you so much for this. Now, my last question before a rapid fire question is to Professor Vinit, and I'm giving you answer first, and then I'm asking a question. Your answer should be soon, SOON. And now the question is, so you said that in 2019 we started the first AI bachelor degree. My simple question is that when will India get its own DeepSeek? Yeah, we want that. We want people like you to give us that.
So, no, the answer is soon. I know that I think even the government is pushing for it heavily now. I think many of you may have heard of the India AI mission and initiative. In fact, there's, as we speak, a purchase for 20,000 GPUs going on at the national level. 20,000 H100s if I'm right. So which is pretty good, a pretty good establishment for doing something like this. So I think in that sense, I'm hoping, and personally I've heard I've in fact heard very explicit statements from venture capitalists saying that if you can develop this in the next 1 year, we'll just give you as much money as you want, right? So I've actually heard explicit statements like that. So that gives me the optimism that probably, I think in the next few months, but maybe if it is okay to just make one transgression here to say something which I feel is a little important, because I think there's two parts to this question. One is, when will India get the latest and greatest? But I think the other part of the question is, when will India do such research? Right, so which I think is something I wanted to just allude to is, I think as a country we also need a mindset change. I think our broad questions today are around, when do we catch up? Right? When do we get our DeepSeek? Is
when
more
we
about
catch up with
when
the
do we
others.
catch up. But the question should ideally be, when do we leapfrog? Right? I think the ideal question, would be, this is obviously an important question. The ideal question for all of us would be, okay, China got DeepSeek, let's get the next one, right? So what should that be, right? And unfortunately, I think one of the challenges for that as a country at this point in time is academia probably has the skill set, I'd like to assume we have, has the skill set, but doesn't have the compute capability to build such large technologies. I think in the industry, the research skill sets are missing at this point in time, right? Or the mandate to work on that, maybe let me put it that way, not that the skills are missing, the mandate to expand on that is probably not as strong. So I think there is something in between that is missing at this point in time, where the skills and the compute can come together, because then is when I think we can essentially leapfrog
forward. Yeah. Fantastic. Very well said, Professor. One last question. I know Manish is here and he's just looking at the watch. One rapid fire question. And this is where I go back to the movies. Now we have been given a topic, AI, data and privacy. So one question, to all my panelists, you cannot copy each other. That's this thing. If you have to decide the relationship between AI, data, and privacy, which movie you will choose from the following and why? The first movie is Three Idiots, and I'll tell you why I said Three Idiots, because these are friends. The second movie is Amar, Akbar, Anthony. It's like lost brothers, but then reunited again. Third movie, I say Sholay, where Thakur is using Jay and Viru. And the last one is The Good, Bad, and Ugly. So, Bala, if I start with you, which movie you will say AI, data, and privacy resembles to?
So while you're speaking, I was only thinking about Three Idiots.
Three Idiots.
Yeah, because you see the three characters like Ranchod Das, Raju, and Farhan. They behave like that AI, data, and privacy. The resemblance of Ranchod is more talking about learning everything from everywhere. So that's all about AI. Scan through everything, extract the knowledge.
Okay. I'll go to the Dr. Shweta. Sorry, but in 3 days, Rancho was not a Rancho. AI, I don't know.
I'm sorry, but I'll give a fifth example that
Okay.
I think AI, data, and privacy is like Christopher Nolan movies. You figure,
Wow.
you think you figured it out, and then you're like, no, I don't know what's going
it's-
on. Then you again figure it out.
That's a good answer. That's a good one. Thank you. Rama, more practical answer?
I'll go with the good, bad, and ugly. I mean, AI is good. There is obviously a whole bunch of bad data out there. which
Is it
we need to
violence you are looking at?
clean. And the ugly part is what AI can become. Like, and going back to stitching the Nolan part there, that Sentinel, etc. So there is the ugly part there that we need to be watch out. So it's a good, bad, ugly for me.
I think that's very well said. The ugly part is what we watched out. We are looking at everything good, positives, but right technology or good technology in bad hand is a very bad thing. Very well said. Professor Saab?
I was first about to say it depends on the director, but I think in some sense similar to that. But yeah, I would probably go towards, I think it's currently, I don't know, Sholay, maybe where one is flogging the other with the tail wags the dog. But I think I'd ideally go towards the Three Idiots kind of a paradigm where they are friends. And sometimes when you're friends, you have to make sacrifices for the other, right? So when you want privacy, you have to say that maybe innovation cannot be at the same scale when you also want privacy. So you have some gives and takes, but together progress.
Perfect. Or work towards excellence. Success will come, right? Thank you so much. With this, we close our panel. Thank you so much for the audience. I'm not sure whether we have time, but any questions, we are here. Please feel free to reach out. And I have heard Professor Saab is very good in answering questions, so please reach out.
You heard from somebody you don't know. No, so my answer to your question, Bahubali. I mean, there cannot be any more Bahubali than AI right now, okay? Especially when it comes to data and privacy. But it's fine, let them use it, but pay for me, no? I mean, 5 rupees per day is okay, yeah? But, all right, thanks. Huh?